When the special military operation began, many analysts predicted a swift Russian victory, perhaps in a matter of days or weeks. Yet, here we are, years later, entrenched in a conflict that has defied all early expectations. The question that hangs over every headline and every strategic discussion is this: why isn't Russia winning quickly in Ukraine? The answer isn't found solely on the battlefield, in the mud of the trenches, or the wreckage of armored columns. To understand the prolonged nature of this war, we must look beyond the front lines and into the deeper currents that shape modern conflict. The real war is being fought on three interconnected fronts: strategy, politics, and perhaps most importantly, time. This isn't just about capturing territory. It's a calculated campaign to accumulate advantages, to reshape the geopolitical landscape, and to win a war of endurance. This is the real map that matters, not just land gained, but leverage built. First, let's examine the strategic political goals. For Moscow, the objective was never simply to conquer land for its own sake. It's about fundamentally altering Ukraine's destiny and its relationship with the West. A prolonged conflict creates continuous pressure points to achieve these aims. This includes exerting pressure for a potential federalization of Ukraine, which could grant pro-Russian regions veto power over national policy, effectively blocking any future NATO or EU accession. It fuels ongoing debates about Ukraine's neutrality, keeping the country in a state of geopolitical limbo. Furthermore, it's about securing long-term influence over its energy choices, trade routes, and security architecture. A quick, decisive war might have galvanized Ukrainian unity against these ideas. A long, grinding war, however, aims to make them seem like pragmatic concessions for peace. A long war creates the political conditions for outcomes that a blitzkrieg could never achieve. Second, we must consider the brutal strategy of attrition. If you can't win quickly, you can try to win by outlasting your opponent. Russia's strategic playbook shifted to applying immense, relentless pressure over an extended period. The primary goal is to methodically weaken Ukraine's military capabilities, grinding down its personnel and equipment faster than they can be replaced. But the strategy extends far beyond Ukraine's borders. It's designed to strain Western stockpiles of ammunition and advanced weaponry, forcing difficult choices between supporting Kyiv and maintaining their own defense readiness. This, in turn, is a deliberate test of Allied unity. Moscow is betting that over time, through cold winters that strain energy markets, through contentious election cycles in key Western nations, and through the endless churn of news headlines, cracks will appear in the coalition. Wars of endurance fundamentally change the calculus of negotiation. The side that believes it can hold out longer will demand more at the bargaining table. Third, we have to be realistic about military limitations. The kind of rapid, decisive shock and awe campaign that topples a government in days requires a specific set of ingredients that Russia did not possess in sufficient quality or quantity. Quick offensive victories demand overwhelming and well-trained force, flawless and protected logistics to sustain the advance, and complete air superiority to shield ground troops. They also require mastery of modern combined arms, the intricate dance of infantry, armor, artillery, and air power working in perfect sync. While Russia has immense numbers on paper, the initial special military operation revealed significant shortcomings. Challenges in rotating troops, maintaining aging armor, and countering the ubiquitous threat of cheap but effective drones became immediately apparent. Most critically, the failure to secure the skies and protect long supply lines from a determined Ukrainian resistance made a rapid advance impossible. A faster, more aggressive attack would have meant accepting catastrophic losses of personnel and equipment, risking a level of political backlash at home that the Kremlin was unwilling to face. The slower, grinding approach is, in part, an adaptation to these very real limitations. Fourth, and this may seem counterintuitive, a prolonged conflict offers certain strategic benefits for Russia that a quick war would not. Time allows for the consolidation of gains. Instead of risky, large-scale offensives, the focus shifts to making slow, incremental gains that are less costly and don't trigger major international alarms. It provides the time needed to build formidable, reinforced defensive lines, making any Ukrainian counter-offensive incredibly difficult and costly. Every square kilometer of occupied land, even if fiercely contested, is transformed into a bargaining chip for future negotiations. The conflict also exerts immense economic pressure on Europe, driving up energy costs and inflation, which can erode public support for the war. For military planners, it complicates NATO's long-term strategic posture and forces Kyiv into a reactive stance, having to defend an enormous front line everywhere at once, spreading its resources thin. The longer the war drags on, the more cracks can appear in Western budgets, in global public attention, and in the shifting priorities of allied nations. Fifth, the war is not being fought in a vacuum. Both domestic and global factors are critical. At home, the Kremlin must manage the narrative around a special military operation, rather than a full-scale war. This involves balancing the grim realities of casualties and the social strain of mobilization fatigue against the need to maintain elite stability and public acquiescence. A slow burn is easier to manage politically than a high-intensity blaze. Abroad, the conflict is a catalyst. Western sanctions, while damaging, are forcing Russia to aggressively reshape its trade relationships, fostering new partnerships with nations in Asia, Africa, and Latin America who are either neutral or sympathetic. It's accelerating the rerouting of energy flows away from Europe and toward new markets. The war also creates a constant demand for defense imports, from Iranian drones to North Korean artillery shells, strengthening ties with other sanctioned states. Crucially, a protracted war in Ukraine serves as a major distraction for the West. As other crises flare up, be they hotspots in the Middle East, economic shocks, or contentious elections in the United States, the focus on Ukraine can waver. Each new global event creates an opportunity for Russia to gain a gradual advantage, while the world's attention is divided. Bo Sung Trong Tam Chien Luok, Dun Hat, Tan Dung John Bei Thoi Gian, Keo Dai Chien Su Je Bien Chi Fi Than Fuki, Bao Mon Nangan Sash, Kojan Va Su Chui Kua Fuong Tai, Thu Hai, Abjat Chi Fi Kochon Lok, Tang Rui Ro Nang Luong, Lam Jut Gai Choi Kungung, Buok Joy Thu Chian Hong Gon Luk Chon Hieu Matran, Thuba, Quan Trin Hip Jok Sung Jot, Luk Nong, Luk Lang, Jekiem Tra Jo Ben Lien Min Valam Dai Joy Ki Vong Jam Fan, Jai La Angituat Hao Mon Tin Tuan, Trong Jo Moi Tang Troi Kwa Jeu Tro Tan Kontot Chien Luok, Thutu, Tichang Hijatang, Tai Kao Trus Thuong Mai Huong Afi Mai Latin, Tai Joy Dong Nang Luong, Morong Hap Kao Kwok Fong, Vajay Man San Suat Trong Nuok, Tu Nam, Kapnat Hok Tu Yet Tak Chien, Tik Hop Ua Vigiare, Tak Chien Jien Tu Chongua Ve, Fong Kong Fantang, Valuan Chuyen Luk Luong Jagiam Moi Met Chien Jiao, Nhojo, Chien Dich Kong Kan Bat Fan Hanchma Van Giatang Ap Luk Rong Theo Thoi Gian, Tu Sao, Hinch Hok Jam Fan, Moi Kam Vuong Kiem Suat Juok Kang Kotan Tai San Makka, Tuyen Fong Ngudai Jak La Kong Kujiu Tietan Hip Fan Kong, Vakwaso Jam Fan Mokijoi Tu Fan Tanu Tien, Bao Ku Kang Hoang Kuvuk Sui Thoai, Muk Tieu Kong Chila Jia Li, Malajin Hin Kui Jiao Chin Tri Kwa Ukraine Va Kan Kan Ansh Huong, Au A Trong Thap Kitoi. So, to sum it all up, the absence of a quick Russian victory is not necessarily a sign of imminent failure, but rather a reflection of a different, more cynical strategy. A quick win was likely Plan A, but the resilience of Ukraine and the realities on the ground forced a pivot to a long game. In this new calculus, territory is not just land, it is bargaining power. Time is not just a duration, it is a weapon to exhaust enemies and test alliances. And the military conflict is not the end goal, it is merely the violent instrument for achieving a political endgame. It's a strategy that bets on endurance over brilliance, on attrition over maneuver. In this brutal calculation, Not losing quickly has become far more important than winning quickly. Thanks for watching until the end. Make sure to subscribe to the channel for more deep dives into global events, strategies, and the forces shaping our world.